Oh, hey, dude, welcome home.
Holy Muppet feet, you scared me.
You ready to watch the D23 Parks panel or what?
I told you, dude. I don't do theme parks anymore. I'm going to be a food reviewer.
They're making an animatronic Walt Disney.
All right, I'm in. Welcome to Theme Park Sandbox. My name is Aaron.
My name's Drew.
And we can confirm that this show is in production, Earth is moving, and construction will begin in 2027.
Yeah, and today we would like to go over D23, but we should probably talk about what's a little bit different about our show.
That's right. So you can tell that, first of all, I'm here in the room.
Yeah, we're not in split screens anymore, which means you moved.
I moved.
Yeah.
So not too long ago, I made the move from Florida back to California.
Yeah.
Very happily.
Good. I'm really glad to have you back, to be honest, because now we get to do things like go to theme parks together. We get to, maybe not have to worry about all the different technical issues that we run into while doing a podcast on opposite coasts.
That's right.
But cool. Yeah. So this is what our new show is going to be about.
Yeah. So thank you all for your patience in waiting what seems like a very long time since our last episode.
2 years.
In fact, I think our last episode was about the last D23.
It was.
So we're excited to be back.
Yeah,
Excited to be back.
I'm really stoked. I think we're going to have some pretty cool stuff coming along the line, but we should probably talk about D23.
We should talk about D23. So let's get into it. So D23, for those who don't know, D23 is Disney's biannual event where they talk about everything to do with their company.
Yeah.
So that's the movies, that's entertainment, and of course the part that Drew and I care most about is the theme park announcements.
Yeah, the parks panels where the meat is for us, definitely with well, and it's been kind of weird the last couple times they've done it. It's been essentially our show.
Yes.
It's been very blue sky.
Yes. Yeah. Especially 2022, they really took a lot of flack for pitching. They're essentially pitching attractions that may or may not happen.
Right.
And it's difficult to be a fan of something like that when you aren't sure if it's ever going to come to fruition.
Totally.
It was almost like they were taking the temperature of the room to see where they should invest their time and efforts.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was an interesting time for Disney, right? They had a different CEO that wasn't necessarily like all about the theme parks.
Mm-hmm.
We had the parks closed for years, so that was like something that definitely affected. I would imagine like the planning process and their budgeting and things like that. Like, but anyway, I mean, we should probably get into the things that they did announce.
Yes. So across the country, there are a lot of updates coming, but also to the parks across the world. We'll start here in California. Right off the bat, Disneyland got an opening date for Diana's, November 15th. That's great.
Awesome.
Smuggler's Run, both in Disneyland and in Hollywood Studios and Disney World, will be getting a new mission featuring the Mandalorian and Grogu,
I'm
aka
excited about that.
Baby Yoda.
Yep.
And then a really big deal for Disneyland, the first ever Walt Disney audio animatronic will debut in a show called Walt Disney: A Magical Life, and it's going to rotate opposite the Abe Lincoln show.
Right. Yeah, and we don't know what they mean by rotate. So like, is it going to be like 1 hour it's Lincoln, 1 hour it's Walt Disney, or is it rotate as in seasonal rotation? I don't know.
I think it's a physical rotation, and you have like a 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock is Walt, and the 2, 4, 6 is Abe. I'm pretty sure that it's literally just on one rotating platform.
Right, because it did rotate before, so that's really interesting. Okay.
That's my guess. That's how I would do it.
Right, yeah.
So that is Disneyland Park. Moving to California Adventure, there's a bunch of stuff happening at DCA.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like one of the opening announcements that they made, which is a new Avatar-themed land coming to California Adventure. It's inspired by the second movie, so the most recent one.
Well, and the next one.
And the next one,
so
Fire and Ash.
Fire and Ash,
Mm-hmm.
Which I heard like 15 times during the
it looks like it's going to have a boat ride, and they didn't describe a lot other than that it will have action that the movie is known for.
Yeah.
Where the Disney World attractions Flight of Passage is quite serene, like it's really lovely, enjoyable, and then the boat ride is also very calming.
Yeah, yeah.
This is going to be all of that action that you come to expect from from that movie, from really a James Cameron movie.
Right. And I actually think that I have a feeling, we'll see if I'm right in the next few years. I think that it's probably going to be based on like the Shanghai Pirates.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Because that needs to be here
Yes.
at our park.
Yeah, definitely. So that's that was just the first announcement about DCA. Also, the first ever Coco ride is coming.
Yeah.
Also
I'm
a
excited
boat ride.
about that. Yeah. Also a boat ride.
Yep. Tons of music in that. We already have that great face actor of
Right.
Ernesto de la Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Like to be able to like fully immerse guests in that story.
Yeah.
It'd be really
It's
fun.
such a beautiful story. And it's like so colorful. And I think it's going to be like a really cool, fun dark ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Totally agree. And then we've got 2 announcements on the big elephant in the Disney California Adventure room, which is Avengers related.
Yeah.
So we've got a name for the formerly teased Avengers e-ticket attraction,
Right.
which is now called Avengers Infinity Defense. So they like reaffirmed it because like they announced it and then they like kind of shifted gears. It was no longer this solo ride
Right.
where like you had independent flight, something like that was
Yeah.
what they teased. So now it appears to be like a fairly traditional like mixed media ride vehicle.
Yeah, like I don't want to say the words motion simulator, but it feels like it's
It looks like a larger version of like what you'd see with Transformers or the Spider-Man ride in Universal.
Oh,
Like,
you think it's going to move through it?
I think so.
Oh, you
I think
so?
I think it's going to move in physical space and then move between mixed media sets.
Got it.
They also do that in the new Peter Pan ride in Tokyo, and it
Mm.
appears to look a lot like that.
Okay.
And that ride's had a bunch of acclaim. Like people are really enjoying that.
I haven't seen any videos on that, so I'll have to look it up.
That one's a fun one.
That's cool.
The other, I think this was a big surprise because this hadn't been announced prior, is that there's an additional attraction coming to Avengers. And
Yeah.
just to kind of like set it up, it's basically like a 2-seat vehicle that gets picked up by a KUKA robot arm, and then
Yeah.
you go through a flight simulator test. Appropriately, it's called the Stark Flight Lab.
Yeah, so if you've ever wondered what it's like to be a car going through a production line,
Yes, yeah.
that's what it's going to be.
This is eerily similar to a former Epcot attraction called the Sum of All Thrills, where it used a really similar system.
Really?
It's not very far off at all from Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey.
Totally.
Super
Mhm.
similar to that.
Yeah.
And there's also, I don't remember the name of it, but there's a Legoland ride that it looks very close to. I think if the concept art is to be believed, the only big difference, which is going to be a cool big difference, it's like a cool, I don't want to say illusion because it's really happening, but a cool feature, is that the ride system gets actually physically picked up. It's not permanently attached.
Right.
Like all of those other systems.
Right. Harry
are.
Potter Forbidden Journey, they have to hide all of
Yeah.
those things. And like, I think I mean, just from an automotive perspective, which you and I have a background on,
Yeah.
we've seen these robots in
Yes.
action. Like
Yeah.
they can pick up massive things and switch tools. And it's really neat to see like such like a big industrial
Yeah.
type of mechanism being used for fun.
And it's millimeter accuracy every time forever
Totally.
to infinity. And so it works really nicely in that Stark Lab environment. It'll be really fun. I hope that it's fun.
I mean, how could it not be fun,
Yeah.
right? Like getting tossed around with the KUKA robot is
Yeah.
going to be sweet.
So that is California Adventure. I don't think I missed any of the big stuff there. Moving over to the East Coast, we have Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
So we've got some big things coming to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
There is a new nighttime parade. Great. That's coming next summer.
Yeah, I love parades. Parades
It's cool.
are great.
It'll be fun.
And like I specifically love nighttime parades because
Yeah.
they're just fun. I know performers probably don't love it because they're holding big battery packs and stuff, but
Yeah.
no, I think it's great.
But the 2 big announcements. So the first one is that there's going to be an expansion of Frontierland
Yeah.
with a land inspired by cars, and it's going to take the spot of Tom Sawyer's Island and the Rivers of America.
Yeah.
This has had a lot of mixed reactions.
Yeah. People seem, I've heard a lot of like, well, if Walt had seen what they're doing to his park, he would be rolling in his grave. But the reality is he never visited this park. So I think if you're going to remove Tom Sawyer Island, Rivers of America, it's a lot of space.
It's a ton of space.
It's like over 20 acres or something. It's a lot.
They've announced a couple of details since D23. This is actually one of them. They didn't say is replacing Frontierland on
Right.
stage. They said it the following day. This is the largest Magic Kingdom expansion in history,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. To give you a sense of scale, it's like the new Fantasyland and the circus area combined,
Right.
and it will be even slightly larger than that. It's going to be huge. It's going to be epic.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it. I think that it's a great improvement. I went to Tom Sawyer's Island one time. I never went on the riverboat. I think about it. I've only been on the California one.
Yeah, what's it? Is it
The Lily Bell.
Lily Bell.
Yeah.
And we have Liberty Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never been on Tom Sawyer Island there either. There's just so many attractions there that it's just like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend my time going around Tom Sawyer Island. And then, so it's not like there's a nighttime spectacular. Like here we have Fantasmic, right? So like, if they were to do that and get rid of a stage for Fantasmic, that would be insane. Because obviously, Fantasmic's the best show ever.
Like,
fight me.
So, yeah, the river in Disneyland is protected just based on that.
Totally.
And the riverboat is protected just based on Fantasmic alone. And Tom Sawyer Island, or I guess Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer Island. Yep.
On Tom Sawyer Island
has all of those stage effects and everything that are like they've invested in that.
Totally.
And they just haven't done that in Orlando. And it's going to have such a better capacity to operate that park, to bring in a lot of people, to bring a lot of excitement. And this kind of segues into the next big announcement, which is Villains Land is coming beyond Haunted Mansion.
Right.
And I think that it will give a really easy transition, because right now, if you're walking next to Haunted Mansion, you're just walking next to the river.
Right.
And to make that all something walkable and something more that you can experience, we'll just really widen out the park in a nice way.
Do you think it'll be like what happened with Disneyland, where it kind of bridged Big Thunder and Splash Mountain area?
I think so.
I think that'll be really cool.
Yeah, I think it will bridge those areas in a really nice way. And I think that it will give from Villains Land, which I hope to be like authentically frightening and intimidating.
Yeah.
Like to have Haunted Mansion be the transition into that, I think is excellent.
Totally.
And then to be able to get a little bit of a reprieve from that with cars and fun and nature, the wilderness. I think that's going to be like a really nice mixture of new experiences.
I'm genuinely excited, because what I'm picturing, and tell me what you're picturing, but I'm picturing kind of like an Indiana Jones, but smaller scale and outdoors. So first of all, I'm interested in knowing how it's going to be affected being in Florida, because the weather is unpredictable, and it looks like it's majority an outdoor ride.
Yes.
I'm guessing it's going to be some sort of vehicle, EMV simulator type ride. But I don't think it's going to go as fast as Radiator Springs Racers.
I have to imagine that it's a similar ride system.
Yeah.
Even if it's not identical, and if it has more off-roadiness. I don't even know if we said, but the announced ride for the Wilderness is like an off-road rally racing attraction.
Yeah.
So you can see kind of how it can have like a dotted line to Radiator Springs. I imagine that the ride vehicle will be somewhat similar in that it will be affected by weather. And that's what worries me.
Yeah, that worries me too.
Yeah, that, remains to be seen. But, we have a lot to talk about on Cars. We're actually talking about Villains Land. There's very little to talk about with Villains Land.
Yeah, it's literally just like a picture.
It was a bit of concept art. They confirmed 2 attractions, dining and shopping. What a surprise. That's the formula.
My hope is that there's going to be scariness in the sense of like thrill. There's a bunch of people that want like an Yzma roller coaster,
pull the lever.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Something like that. But I think it would just be really fun to do something that's like a little bit more frightening.
Yeah.
Because like frightening and scary they're adjacent, you know what I mean? So I hope that they do something kind of intense.
Yeah, I agree.
Something they've never done before.
We'll get into it in more detail later on.
That's true.
So that is the big announcements coming to Magic Kingdom. Let's move over to Animal Kingdom. So speaking of Wilderness and Indiana Jones, it's official. Dinosaur is going extinct.
Oh no. Oh no.
Fans of the show know that was not Drew's favorite ride.
It was it was the lowest ranked ride.
Yes. So Dinosaur and Indiana Jones share a ride vehicle and a track layout. So they are bringing Indiana Jones as an overlay essentially to this attraction. And then they're going to make it fit inside of the Animal Kingdom story by having Indy pursuing some kind of mythical animal.
Yeah, which I think is going to be so. I love that it's a story that we haven't heard.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with the Cars ride. I think they've just kind of like, I like the idea of freshness, newness. I don't want the same Anaheim ride here.
Exclusivity is great.
Yeah.
It's a great reason to get us on a plane.
It's more expensive,
Yes.
as we know. That's why we have Batu East and Batu West.
Mhm.
But I think there's something really special about it.
I
And
agree.
it gives you a reason to fly to Florida.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And this attraction will be taking place in a Tropical America's land that is going where Dinoland USA presently is. And they're adding another attraction there, which is the first ever Encanto ride.
Yeah.
This looks to be a trackless dark ride system. I'm hoping for something like Mickey and Minnie's, or like an even cooler analog, I think, is Phantom Manor.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Mhm.
Just because it's inside of a house already.
Right.
Something like Rise of the Resistance, same idea.
Yeah, and they didn't show us pictures of the ride vehicle. I think that was on purpose. I would imagine that the portion of the picture that they showed us specifically left out the majority of the ride
Exactly.
vehicle, but it's
like
probably there.
Shoulder up. It's
Right.
like there is a seat there.
Right.
That's all you get. And then my ranking for the worst named announcement
Oh,
of
boy.
all of D23.
Yeah.
This is taking place of It's Tough to Be a Bug, which is a 3D show underneath the Tree of Life. And it will be replaced by Zootopia Better Zoogether. I'll say that again. Better Zoogether.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, that's a big swing and a miss for me.
And the problem is, we love It's Tough to Be a Bug.
It makes so much sense to put an attraction with bugs underneath a tree.
Right.
Like, that's perfect. But then to have this like metropolitan anthropomorphized animals thing that live in a city, but we're putting you under a tree. And then just the word zoo in the context of Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom has a long history of being not a zoo.
Right. Oh, right.
So,
in all
like,
of the ads and everything.
All the early
when it
ads
opened.
were like, not a zoo.
Right.
This is not a zoo. And now they're just saying Zootopia, better Zoogether. Like, they're doubling down on the zoo qualities. Yeah, I was not thrilled about that.
I just hope that it's an attraction that replaces, because It's Tough to Be a Bug is like, it's an adult show and a kid show. Like, it is just as fun for kids as it is scary.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter what age you are. So I hope that they're able to kind of like find that balance with the show. We'll see. But I love Zootopia. So I hope they do something really fun.
I don't
with
have
it.
a problem with the IP that they've chosen. I think that's fine. It just doesn't fit there, and the naming is awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So take my nitpicks.
Yeah.
All right. So that is all for Animal Kingdom. Let's move over to Epcot because it's very little. We got confirmation of Test Track 3.0 opening in 2025, and we're getting a new lounge in Spaceship Earth.
Test Track, we're on the third round.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going to be sponsored by Chevy, I'm guessing.
And they're doing more like a World of Motion kind of thing. So it's going to be more like the theming that preceded Test Track 1, which is kind of interesting and neat.
Yeah.
I still think that the idea of being a crash test dummy is like the most brilliant concept for that ride.
Yeah.
I think that's so fun.
It almost reminds me of like our original Autopia, our first episode, where we talk about like the progression of the automobile as you drive through bridges and stuff, and the vehicles act differently. I hope they do something really cool.
I have medium hopes for it because it hasn't been down for a long time. So it's like they can only do so much.
Yeah.
So I think they're just going to do some show scenes, and would be really great is if they enclosed the outdoor track so that it could keep running in inclement weather.
Right.
That, I mean, I have no idea how long that would take, what the investment would be, if it's even feasible for that outdoor track.
You would probably have to slow down the ride.
Yeah.
Like 60 miles per hour in a tunnel, the ride vehicle is going to be pushing a lot of air.
Yes. And that tunnel would be small.
Yeah. And it would still just be just as loud as it was before.
Ooh, way louder.
Yeah. So
yeah, maybe that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I will rescind. So Epcot's had a bunch of work done to it very recently.
Yeah.
They've done a big overhaul. Everyone's opinions on that aside, they have invested enough that it's okay that they're not doing a ton of work there. So over to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios is getting the same update to their Smuggler's Run attraction with Mandalorian and Grogu. And then this is a really big one. Pull yourself back to like the days 2010, 2012 when you're on like, you know, the Disney forums, Mice Chat, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Nice chat.
And you're like, we need a roller coaster of that moment in Monsters Inc. where you're hanging on the door.
Totally.
And we're getting it.
Yeah.
We're getting a hanging coaster inside of a Monsters Inc. land in Hollywood Studios.
I think it's going to be really cool.
It's going to be gangbusters.
First ever. It's going to be so much fun. Like, I love, in fact, I was on it the other day with my wife. Like, I love the Monsters Inc. ride, even just with like the overlay over whatever limousine.
Superstar limo.
Yes. Yeah. So if I like that, I can't wait to see, or go into like a big room where there's just a bunch of doors and everything's moving and the chaos of being one of the doors. I think that'll be so cool.
I would challenge you to find another attraction in Disney or any company's catalog that is a better overlay than Superstar Limo into Monsters Inc.
I agree.
I don't think one exists.
I agree with you.
Like how effective they were with how little they had to work with.
Right.
Really incredible.
And you know what's really cool about this too is like the difference with this coaster. I'm assuming it's going to be a rail coaster.
It seems like it.
It seems like it'll be something like that. They can actually show the track. The track will be part of...
The track is a part of the story.
The story, exactly. Mm-hmm. Versus like when you ride Peter Pan, everything they try to hide it as much as possible. Mm-hmm. This big electric motor above your head. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to walking through Monstropolis.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
That'll be cool.
I've always wanted to have like that eyeball sushi or whatever that...
like Harryhausen's.
Harryhausen's, yes. Always wanted to go there.
And I want to see that car. Because in the concept...
Yeah, the 6x6.
Six-wheel drive.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait for that.
And I'm excited to see what monsters are walking around.
Yeah.
That'll be really clever.
It'll be cool to see like a really nice, well done Sully. Like the ones that are out there are fine.
Yeah.
But like to really like do a Chewbacca level of Sully would be rad.
Yeah.
It's still got to be cartoony, but I think it'll be fun.
Well, he's got limited movement.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's the big arms problem.
Right.
The Hulk and Wreck-It Ralph. It's all that's the big arms.
And Maui.
Maui, yes.
Same.
That is all of the domestic parks.
Okay.
So those are our updates coming to the U.S. In the next, how many years? We don't exactly know.
Yeah. It's not, but Earth is moving.
Earth is moving. These things are being worked on. This is not blue sky.
It is not our show anymore.
Gotta be clear. Moving quickly to the international parks, there's not a ton to report on, but there were some cool announcements. So Disneyland Paris first. The World of Frozen is going to be opening in 2026, and it's actually taking the place that they had earmarked for Galaxy's Edge initially.
Right.
So that will be coming to Paris. The big announcement for Paris was that a Lion King land is coming to the park.
Yeah.
And it will feature an attraction that looks a lot like a Tiana's or a Splash Mountain, a log flume ride.
Totally, yeah.
In the concept art, it looked like the recent version of the film, but they have confirmed that it's the 1994 animated classic version of the film is what they're going to be basing the animatronics, the sets, all that stuff. So I'm very glad about that. I'm glad that got clarified.
Yeah,
because I was worried.
Right. Well, because they've got Mufasa coming out soon, and it's like this. What do they call it? Realistic.
Yeah, it's CGI because it's animated, but it looks so realistic. It's like a live action CGI, or something. So that's Disneyland Paris. Moving quickly to Shanghai. Shanghai is getting a Spider-Man themed roller coaster.
Yep.
The ride system appears to be like Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which is a great ride system.
I mean,
super fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to ride another thing. I hope we get to go to the Asian parks eventually.
One day. I think we will.
That'll be cool.
So that's a fun one for Shanghai. Mm-hmm. Hong Kong. This one was kind of pitched in a weird way. They said a huge attraction is coming to the park featuring Tony Stark and Peter Parker. And then the concept art that they showed looked like a Tower of Terror vehicle.
Right.
That was falling in a big chasm. So that's what it appears to be. But all that they've really said is that it's a huge attraction.
Yeah.
And it will change the skyline of the park.
It definitely looks like a drop ride.
Yeah, it'll be a drop tower of some kind. And, Spider-Man saves you. He's kind of, done that routine a few times.
Yeah, and it'll be really refreshing to see what Disney does and what Walt Disney Imagineering does with a new, fresh idea. Because we've seen Tower of Terror. We've seen Tower of Terror turn into Guardians.
Yep.
Now, it'll be interesting to see.
Just looking at that concept art, I imagine it could be really cool to have some screen effects actually above you.
Right.
I think that would be maybe the next level version of that,
Oh,
is
yeah,
to
yeah.
actually have something happening above your head as well as in front of you. Because having ridden this thing a bunch of times, you're always looking forward. And of course, when the doors open, that's where you want to be looking, is forward.
Right.
But maybe looking above you would be like an extra dimension, an extra layer.
That would be really
That
cool.
would be really fun. And then the last big entertainment-related announcement is that the Disney Cruise Line is going to be adding. They'll be adding 4 more ships,
which brings the
their
total
fleet.
to,
I think it's 12, 11, 13.
I thought it was 13, but
a bunch of ships.
yeah, I can't believe I've never been on one. Have you been on one?
I've been on one Disney
Okay.
cruise, on one of the older ships.
Okay, got
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a very fun time.
We'll have to maybe plan something. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think they have enough ships that they could probably invade some countries by now.
Right, exactly.
It's pretty insane.
No matter where you are, you're going to see a Disney cruise ship.
That is right.
And they set the bar, from what I understand. People
Yeah.
that have cruised, they say, oh, once it's like flying first class. Like once you do a Disney cruise, like it's done, it's over.
Yeah, you
That's
don't
all
want to
you're
go to
stuck
other ones
doing.
unless you're doing a party cruise or unless you're doing something else. Like
Right.
they really know how to do family entertainment on a vessel
Yeah.
in a way that no one else has really been able to do.
I watched a documentary on how those are built recently, and it's pretty incredible. So let us know if you've been on a cruise. That'd be pretty sweet. What was your favorite part?
So those are all of the park announcements. What was your most hype moment of the event?
Just in general, the whole event was just so much better than what we've gotten the last 2 D23s.
Yeah.
All of the production quality was great. The musical acts were awesome. You said biggest hype moment?
Biggest hype moment.
Biggest hype moment for me was the new Cars attraction.
Yeah.
And I know that people are really sad, like we said earlier, about like Rivers of America going away. But I love the idea that like it's going to be such a good attraction. I feel like, when was the last time Walt Disney Imagineering did something that everybody didn't agree with and it turned out great?
Yeah.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Everyone, the uproar was
Everyone
was
was hating
insane.
on that.
Everyone
How
hated.
could you take away my favorite ride?
Right, Tower of Terror, and they've made it better.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, but
And Tower of Terror was quite popular, whereas like the Riverboat and Tom Sawyer, not popular.
right,
Like these are not like line up for this attract. No one's rope dropping like
right,
either of those.
right.
So
I am a little concerned about what's going to happen to the Lilybell. I'm assuming it's going to go somewhere on display where you can still like walk on it and like do something. But like, I love just the idea that Disney's okay with differentiating the Magic Kingdom parks. And this feels like the beginning of something new where like, I don't want to say nothing is sacred, but
that's exactly what I was going to say.
yeah,
It proves that like Magic Kingdom, the most attended theme park on the planet,
right,
and the crown jewel in Disney's crown, that they're willing to take something that is so emblematic of what that park has been since opening,
totally.
and they're willing to take that into a new, new series of decades.
Right.
Just a complete new transition into new types of entertainment.
That's true.
I think it'll be really, the way that I have heard it framed is that this will be a little bit more of like a frontiersy Grizzly Peak.
Okay.
Like putting those two concepts together.
Yeah.
And if you think like, okay, well, you've got Tiana's just right up the way, so you can't do a water ride there. So you got to do something else.
Yeah.
And then when you bring the Cars IP into it, it's sort of like all sorts itself out. Like you understand kind of what they're going for. And Grizzly Peak is one of my favorite areas to just kind of walk through.
Right.
So for those who are concerned with de-beautifying Magic Kingdom, which Rivers of America, that whole area, it is gorgeous. It's lovely.
It's so gorgeous. Someone swam in the river the other weekend.
Not very long ago. I don't think they were of sound mind at the time.
They were not. Don't do that.
But I hope they had a great time. I think that they're going to be able to add a lot of beautification and a lot of attention to detail, quiet spaces, as well as the big attraction-focused spaces. Because I do think of that reveal to the Cadillac Mountains, and like that is a lovely moment. And you have the ride kind of cresting over in that hill, but it's not there constantly. It's not constant noise. It's a really nice environment. And at night, Cars Land is one of the greatest places to be.
True.
So just thinking about how they're going to bring in all of those influences and give just a lovely place to be.
I
lovely
agree.
Expansion.
That's a really good point. And besides that, even it's going to make lines shorter because it's a people eater now versus like it's acreage that's now being used to soak up people, which I think is great. It'll like alleviate pressure off of different parts of the park. So for me, I'm all for it. I think it's going to be really great. That's my biggest hype moment. What was yours?
I mean, mine was certainly Cars as well. I think that that's going to do really well. But I'll pick another one just for sake of interest.
Sure.
I think that the Monsters Inc. stuff is going to be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, it's a toss-up. Like, I do love the Pandora World of Avatar. That's great. Also extremely immersive and like insane levels of detail. But I think that the fun that you'll get out of Monsters Inc., and if the rumors are true, where that's going is in the animation courtyard of Hollywood Studios that just needs help. Like, it needs something. So that will really inject a lot of like fun and kineticism. And I think that is a place, that is an environment that I've watched the movie and been like, I would like to walk around there. I think it'd be really fun to be there. It's just a really fun, interesting, cool looking place.
It'll be kind of silly.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a great one.
Yeah. So most hyped. What about this? I mean, there's one land in particular that didn't get any attention.
Yeah.
Either in Disneyland or in Magic Kingdom, and that's Tomorrowland.
Yeah. Like, I'm surprised that we're not hearing more about it.
Yeah, you're right.
In social media. Like, the elephant in the room. Like, what is going to happen with Tomorrowland?
There's always rumors, feels like every few months maybe, of like, all right, we're going to bring back the People Mover. We're going to do something. We're going to inject some life back into this land, and nothing.
And it's not just West Coast.
No.
It's East Coast as well.
There's just a lot in those parks that is just so old and dated. I would say if you're into the old school Space Mountain, like maybe that stays. The transition into Tron, I mean, that's obviously going to stay there. Yeah. I almost say that that's like kind of like a earmarked as a separate area than Tomorrowland. It's got its own sort of mini land.
Yeah, totally. It's got its own vibe even, just the walkways. You can tell that it's new. But my thing is just the empty buildings. There's just empty buildings.
The Stitch Great Escape ride.
Right.
Or show. Completely empty.
Honey, I Shrunk the Audience Theater. Totally empty.
Totally
empty. With the $1 million floor, right?
Yeah. And nothing going on and no plans, at least in the next, several years.
Right.
No plans for those.
Well, and the unfortunate thing is they've removed buildings. Like, a good one is Innoventions, right? Like, I know a lot of people didn't. Innoventions doesn't get a lot of love, but like, genuinely, like, it was something to do.
Yeah.
Right. Versus now it is exclusive. It's an exclusive lounge, or for D23 members, or it's you pay however much money to view fireworks.
Yeah.
And it used to be free.
It's just nice to have those spaces where you can walk around, look at some cool artifacts, have some air conditioning, have some downtime, just be out of the sun for a while. And just taking those away is a definite downgrade.
Yeah. And plus, like Autopia as well, going electric is really cool. I think that's like going to be really neat, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
We need a full redo of Tomorrowland.
Yeah. I mean, I would even say, this is a Magic Kingdom comment more so, you could almost just completely delete Autopia, because now you can put it in Cars. It'll be right there. Right. Like, that can just kind of be like a sort of like carryover. Right. Just put some kind of like spiritual successor of Autopia into the Cars land, and it'll make perfect sense. Yeah. I'm not sure how exactly you'd pull that off in Anaheim the same way. Yeah, it'd be hard. But they even recently, like, they had to adjust the track for Tron, so like they're not far away from just saying like, yeah, let's delete Autopia. Right. So bummer about Tomorrowland. Let's talk about something that is exciting though, and that is the audio animatronic for Walt Disney. Yeah. So this is wild. A lot of friends of mine that are deep in the Disney community, one in particular told me a story about how John Wayne Airport, that they approached the Disney family to name the airport after Walt Disney, and they said, absolutely not. We don't want his name on anything else. Like, Disneyland, Walt Disney Enterprises, end of list. Right. So this is an interesting thing that they've gotten the blessing from the family.
Yeah, I think it's a really big deal. I would imagine it's something that has probably been talked about year after year after year, but I do feel like we've gotten to a point with technology and these like new animatronic 1000
Yeah.
figures that like it's gonna be strange, but I think we'll get used to it.
Yeah.
But I would imagine they're gonna throw every single animatronic bell and whistle at this one figurine. I wouldn't be surprised if this will end up being the most expensive figure
You're
that
right.
they've ever made.
Yeah.
More than Tom Morrow, believe it or not. Yeah.
That's hard to believe. I do wonder, like there are a couple of things I wonder. I wonder if he'll smoke. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if there will be like a B mode where he tries to bust up unions.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that'd be cool. Geez, what else could that?
To all who
animatronic
come
do?
to this happy place, welcome. Don't hate me.
It's interesting that like Walt Disney is now intellectual property.
Yeah.
He's a character. He's not a human.
Right.
Like he is
a figure.
He's fully now just the character that embodies Uncle Walt and whatever you want that to be.
Right.
He was always a persona, but now he's truly, authentically a character first and foremost. People are coming to see him, not to see his, his dream
right
come true.
Yeah.
So that is a weird turn, and to be honest, I don't know yet how to feel about it.
Me neither. I wonder how he would feel about it.
I think he would probably be staunchly against it, but he's not here to say no. And so
if somebody
here we
said,
are.
Aaron, 50 years from now, we're going to create an audio animatronic that looks and acts and talks just like you wouldn't
Absolutely
want that?
not. No.
I think I would, because it would be hilarious.
I don't even want a statue of myself 50 years from
Oh,
now.
I don't want it of me. I want it of you.
Oh, well then, fair. Yeah, if I could get one commissioned of you,
Yeah.
then
100%.
yeah, we'd be fine.
Got it.
I'll write a lot of lines for it.
No, yeah, thank you. It's going to be really interesting to see, but I'm excited that it's coming to Anaheim. That's going to be really cool. Like I think
don't
if there's
think it could
one
be
park
anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that this will be the juicy exclusive. This will be the Disneyland thing to do.
I think so.
When's the last time you saw like a line out the door for great moments with them? They're gonna do Fast Pass for this
Lightning
for
Lane?
the show. They're
Yeah.
gonna Lightning Lane
Yeah.
a show with a singular animatronic.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
It's wild, and it's weird to say that like that one single animatronic and a theater of seats will be a moneymaker because they will sell those Lightning multipasses.
Lightning Lane Multipass.
Lightning Lane multipass. They will move those things in a way that Abe Lincoln never did.
Right.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting. That to me is a TBD. It's exciting to see them take a risk.
Yes.
I do give respect to the risk. We'll see the execution.
And I just don't think it's going to be bad.
I don't think it'll be bad. It might be weird.
It'll be it'll either be so realistic that it's weird, or
I thought about this.
No.
I would almost be more entertained, just authentically entertained, if it were really a bad animatron. And I don't mean poorly executed. I mean intentionally a 50-year-old looking animatronic of Walt.
Right.
I think that could be so self-aware and cartoony and silly.
Something right out of Carousel of Progress.
Yes. Just like, and yeah, I think that'd be really, really fun.
Well, we'll just keep up on it.
Yeah, no, they'll dump millions of dollars into making him look great.
I'm
for
sure.
sure. For
Absolutely.
sure. Moving from West Coast back to the East Coast.
Yep.
Let's focus a little bit of extra time on Villains Land.
Yeah.
So Villains Land, again, it's going beyond Haunted Mansion. It's going to be 2 attractions, some dining, some shopping, and it will be all about the renowned, acclaimed, beloved, maybe not beloved, Disney villains.
Right.
More than just Chapek, more than just Iger. Like we've got our Scars, we've got our Ursulas, we've got all the
Hades,
hits. We got Hades in there. Yeah. In the concept art, it looks like there's like some kind of roller coaster, perhaps with an inversion, which would be very cool.
That would be cool.
It looks like it's full of thorns and scary, creepy. There's a Chernobog castles in the distance. Very cool stuff. Very moody, very edgy.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to see this as a direct reaction to the Dark Universe coming to Epic Universe, where all the Universal monsters are going to go and hang out. Universal even made it kind of a point to say that their attraction, their indoor attraction in the Castle Frankenstein, is like a PG-13 attraction. Like they kind of like said, like, this is kind of like, you know, this will be a badge of honor to get through something so scary, so frightening as this ride.
Well, and Disney's at a disadvantage because Epic Universe is going to open
like next year.
Yeah. And whatever they have planned for Villains Land, what is it officially called? Villains.
I think all we got was Villains Land.
I think that's what Josh Tomorrow actually said, Villains Land. But will it be better? How are they going to make it different? How are they, you know, is this strategic? Like, do they have a bunch of ideas and they're waiting for Epic Universe to open so that they can kind of adjust? I don't know, because I feel like that's what Star Wars, like Galaxy's Edge was.
Star Wars was a reaction to the Wizarding World.
Hogsmeade. Yeah, exactly.
And even if they, you know, in having the extra time and being able to see what was really effective in the Wizarding World, like butterbeer and wands, when they did their equivalent of like blue and green milk and lightsabers, it still didn't quite work the same.
Right.
Like, they had the extra time. They had, you know, an incredibly popular IP. They were able to kind of like play all the same notes, but the song didn't sound the same.
Right.
And maybe it's just that we've seen it once and that this is like a second time around. I hope that that's not what they end up doing with Villains Land. I hope that they do something interesting and uniquely Disney, because their villains are uniquely them. Yeah. It's also interesting because there's film history that connects all of the Universal monsters. They did crossover.
Right.
With the exception of like the Halloween stage shows, these are not villains that commingle or interact with one another. So like, does Cruella de Vil know Captain Hook?
Right.
Like, I don't think that would make sense.
Yeah.
So I do kind of wonder how that will be approached. If they were so sacred with like the Star Wars timeline and like, you can't have Han Solo next to this character. He was dead by the time that movie came out. Like, yeah, okay. I want to see these other characters. So I do wonder what's going to win.
Yeah. And I that's a good point. It makes me think of the parade for Halloween where they have all of the bad guys together. So I maybe this year, because Halloween's coming up in like days for the Disneyland Resort. I'm wondering, I'm going to have to rewatch that parade to see how the characters kind of mingle with each other to see if it works or not. But from what I've heard, it works and it looks really cool. So I genuinely hope they do that. But Villains Land, yeah, let's just hope that they do something really big. Yeah. Really big and different.
I feel, you know, we should get into this in a minute, but like, I feel a little bit more confident that this will come to be. Whereas, you know, a couple of years ago, it did seem very blue sky and very theoretical and very much like, we're going to measure the response. We're checking the temperature of the room. Is this something that we want to invest our time and energy and creativity in? We'll see.
Right.
How much applause are we going to get? So I feel good that they brought it up a second time. I feel good that there is slightly more fleshed out artwork.
Right.
But we don't have a model. We don't have a timeline. We don't have a commitment of a type of attraction.
Yeah, I mean, even the cruise lines, the commitment was 2031.
2031 that they'll have cruise lines built, and they haven't told us if it's a roller coaster or a dark ride or a go-kart track.
Right.
They've told us nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think it could happen, but I think that they really want to set expectations low, and it's got to be that they're measuring against Epic Universe.
It must be.
Yeah.
And then like, what does, well, anyway, we can talk about what next year's D23 is going to look like, or the next one.
Yeah.
Because they announced so much stuff. Like, what is left?
What's left?
Yeah.
I guess it's the empty buildings in Tomorrowland. That's kind of all that they've got left.
I hope so.
Or they're going to fill in other rivers, other bodies of water.
Nemo. Oh, no. I hope not. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably write a whole episode about the areas of the parks that aren't getting attention that do have potential to be something. What I want to ask is, do you think that they've redeemed themselves? Has Disney kind of like righted the ship from that 2022? I mean, we made it a joke, but it was really just our show. They were just pitching rides,
Right.
without the wherewithal to make them. We're not going to make a ride. We're not going to do a show. So what do you think? Did they redeem themselves?
The last few D23s were really rough. So I think any more effort that they put into this one would have been considered a success. But yeah, I think it was a success. I think they got a lot of theme park fans really excited. I don't know if it's just a Bob Iger thing, because I know that he really loves investing in the parks as like a money revenue generating business. But I think they did. I think there's some strange things like the Walt Disney animatronic.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like the fact that he acknowledged in the first minute that this is not blue sky.
Yep.
Earth is moving. Plans have been solidified to an extent. Attractions are being named. I think that is really incredible. And not only that, I feel like this is one of the first times I feel like they've listened to the fans, which I don't know if Disney's notorious. They're not notorious for doing that.
No.
But like I would say turning Dinosaur into Indiana Jones was what everybody wanted anyway. So let's do it. But if we do it, make it big.
Monsters Inc. feels like that came right out of the forums.
Right.
From 10 years ago.
Right. Exactly. So there's a lot of examples like that where I'm just like, I feel like they're listening to us, which is really neat because I don't think it's fan service. I don't think they would do it
right
if they didn't want to do it. So yes, I think it's success. The only thing, once again, Tomorrowland.
Yeah, I agree. Things like the Cars announcement, that is a complete left field move that nobody saw coming. And they have the sort of creative capital to make that work, and to make it work in a somewhat cohesive manner, at least.
Right.
It won't be like that there's a car in the Old West. I think that is something that certain areas of the fandom is expecting, which is going to be like it's funny to imagine that you just have like Lightning McQueen driving down and then you see a country bear. Like, I don't think it will be quite that much overlap. I think there's a lot more space than we're giving them credit.
I think where the river is now, there will be a pseudo berm.
Yeah, there'll be some kind of barrier.
But you also heard that it was going to be called something.
I did. I mean,
different.
I don't know how official this is, but
I hope it's real.
Frontier Land.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't remember this happening, but apparently Mater said that in the D23 show.
Yeah.
Frontier Land. I think that's fun. At least put that on some merchandise, even if that's not the real name of the area.
I would wear that shirt. Make that clear.
As it relates to the event itself, they had a lot of live music and weird kind of like entertainment focused ways to do park announcements that weren't just trying to be a keynote.
Yeah.
I appreciate the creativity. It felt like when you're in high school and you like futz with the margins and make your periods like a larger font size than the rest of your words, that they were trying to pad for time or like be bigger than the announcement was on its own. And so I felt like there was this weird lack of confidence in the whole of the event, of the entirety of the event. I think this is probably the most announcements that we've gotten it in one singular event. And that could have solved all the problems on its own.
Yeah.
But they decided to go to one extra level, which again, I appreciate. And I just didn't feel like all of that quite worked.
Yeah.
Entertainment is a new direction for this much entertainment, I should say, is a new direction for these types of events. There's always some. There's always, song and dance, and that's great. This was a lot of it. That was the one thing that I felt kind of like a little weird about, was the interspersing of music in between all these announcements.
Yeah.
But they want to make it a big show. They want to make it a spectacle. And so good on them for that. I think that this is the first of a new genre of parks panels.
I think so too. I think not only did it make up for the last few times, but I'm also excited to go. You and I have not had a chance to go together, but now that you live here...
Not even a D23 member.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get on that
guess
apparently
so.
in order to get those advance tickets because
That's
they
right.
sold out this year.
That's
But
right.
I'm excited to see what comes next in the coming months and the planning, and as more details unfold via Disney blog, posts and things like that. But
Drew, anything to plug to the fine people? Where can they find you online on the great social medias?
on the great social medias at Theme Park Sandbox, we'll be doing some really fun stuff there.
We've got a lot of exciting plans, a lot of episodes that'll be coming out.
Follow along, share it with your friends, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
See ya.